give a Tam fan welcome to Monique Floyd. Monique, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, you should hear that reaction to what we just saw and learned about you. I want to start with the hysterectomy, and you said something. You had to sit with yourself. What does that mean?
So Tamron, that was the first time that I actually didn't have any distractions available. So I wasn't shopping. I wasn't filling those voids with shopping and drinking and going out with my friends. I actually had to sit with myself, and in sitting with myself, that's when I actually had to face myself and all my unhappiness and the things that were not serving me.
So, and one of those things was your career. You were in your career for 14 years. I have to read the title of what you did because I'm like, what? 3D nuclear engineering designer. I have never heard of that job, and I can tell you it sounds hard. But you'd been invested in it for 14 years, and you walked away from it.
I did. And it was, I worked on government science projects, y'all. Wow. Some of them were top secret government science projects. I did it for 14 years, but at that time I was chasing a paycheck over my purpose.
Wow. And
I literally, and during the time when I was sitting with myself, that's what I realized.
But I mean, it would take a lot of confidence to leave that paycheck, you know, because in reality, to your point, we can say, I'm not gonna live for the paycheck, but then you go home and the bank account, when it comes out of the ATM, you're like, wow, is that an error? You know, and then you have the bills coming in. How did you find the confidence to not lead your life based on what you were, what was in the bank?
I was literally operating on faith. I was all in, 100% all in on faith.
Did you know that the outlet would be photography, or did you say, I'm gonna, you know, just try a few things? What led you to find your game in photography?
Photography is something that I've always done. I've always been the little girl or the kid with the camera. Like, I started doing these photo shoots as a child, making over my little cousins, styling photo shoots for them. So it's something that I was already doing, you know, as a hobby. Yeah. And I just decided to step fully into it and go into it as a business, knowing nothing about business. But again, I had that faith.
But it was more than business, because we saw in those photographs, those transformational photographs for those women who needed clearly that extra boost. How did you know that that would be your testimony and your way of connecting and helping other people?
I had did so much self-work on myself. I really wanted to give that back. And it wasn't until a photo shoot that I did with one of my cousins, where she had gone through a breakup. She came, we started a photo shoot, and I saw her come alive. And I came along alive as she came alive. And it was just this beautiful exchange of energy. And I was so satisfied. And I was like, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to leave my mark on the world. I want to help women show up and glow up and just have fun and give that back to the world.
And we've been talking to photographer Monique Floyd, a.k.a. King Mo, I love that name, who says that's her purpose. And the women she's worked with all have been transformed by her in some way. Take a look.
I was happy being a teacher, but I struggled with my identity. I no longer felt sexy and assertive. Mo started to dig into what made me happy. I felt liberated. After the photo shoot, I decided to choose my happiness over anything else. I made the hard decision to walk away from teaching, go for my dreams, and become a poet.
When I met Mo, I was in the middle of a rather long divorce and identities that didn't really fit anymore, and that it was time to be in the world in a different way. There were parts of me that I wanted to show. Person after person would ask me, oh, what do you need photos for me? Isn't that enough? I want them for me.
I met Mo when I was on the tail end of my breast cancer journey. I was feeling damaged. I said, I'm gonna do a photo shoot to get my groove back, to make me feel beautiful. I have a passion project, and that passion is roller skating. It was so celebratory to who I am. And since then, I've had 4 different photo shoots with her. Mo provided me an outlet to know that I still kind of got this. still kind of got it.
Oh my gosh, Alexis, Natalie, Tamara, all join us now. Thank you so much. You know, watching your video diaries, I'm so full. I feel like I want to cry, but I also want to stand up and just applaud you because it's just so beautiful to see this. Alexis, you were actually Mo's son's teacher, which is how you met at the time. You were struggling because you felt like you'd lost your passion for teaching. It had made your confidence so low that you were actually, you said your hair had started to come out. It was physically affecting you. Take me back to that point in your life.
So, as a little girl, I always wanted to be a teacher, but no one told me the reality was you could no longer be Alexis. You had some people in my life who really stressed, like, be professional, which was fine, but I started teaching at such a young age. I was 23 when I actually first started teaching. So I would wear clothes that would still represent my age, but it became to a point where it's like, oh my God, like you're a teacher, you're gonna wear that? Are you really gonna hang out on the weekends with your friends? Wow. So when I met Mo, it's like meeting your girl crush for the very first time. Like my soul was lit on fire because people will always look at me and say, you're always smiling. But inside of me, I felt very low because people judge you.
Yeah. And you talk about the hair loss, and we know, obviously, it impacts women in a different way than men, and the emotional attachment we have to our hair, even if it's a short haircut, what that can do to you. Your photos were absolutely stunning. I mean, does it feel out of body when you're taking those pictures?
It honestly, it did. It was my first time in life ever doing a professional photo shoot as an adult. Of course, I took high school graduation pictures, but to actually look at myself on camera and say, okay, this is the reason why I smile. This is what attracts me, attracts others to me. It was honestly, it was a surreal feeling. Like It was liberating to see that image of myself.
Natalie, you were at a point in your life with a different type of liberation. You had become divorced, and for you, that brought out, I'm sure, some confidence and some struggles because suddenly you're moving forward in a way you did not expect. What was your life like at that time?
So, what I sort of realized I was doing was not living for everyone else anymore. I love to be generous, and I'm a high achiever and always have been. And I kept finding myself in situations and relationships and jobs where it was always all for everybody and not for me. So at the time that I met Mo, I had really just begun to actually live for me.
You know what? You hit a nerve with that one, and your pictures are beautiful as well. Tamara, you know, seeing you roller skate, I don't know why that just made me feel, I would just joy knowing what you'd gone through, recovering from breast cancer. You know, much like Alexis, the physical part of it, but you were looking at something that we know a lot of women don't survive. And there you are finding your confidence and also recognizing the value of life.
Absolutely. I think whenever someone goes through a life-altering experience, whether it's financial, whether it's a shift in career, whether it's a relationship or a severe health issue, you really dig deep down when you make it through that in order to either reinvent yourself or to really go for what you need to go for. And my breast cancer journey made me do that. Wow. I've always considered myself a person that was a go-getter, that would do things, but I said, you know what? I'm passionate about roller skating as well. That is something I've done since I was 3 years old, and I've always done it. It's not something I pick up and put down. I'm busy now, obviously, because I have a career, family, husband, but that is still a part of me. Wow. And cancer provided me the outlet to say, you can do whatever you want to do. Wow. And I want to share it with the world. Anybody can do whatever they want.